Thanks for listening to the Tech Tools for Teachers podcast, where each week we talk about a free piece or two of technology that you can use in your classroom. I'm your host, Shanna Martin. I'm a middle school teacher, technology coach, and personalized learning coordinator for my district.
Hi, I'm her husband, Fuzz. I'm also the producer. I screw you up with my intro this week.
That was a little cheesy. Welcome. All right. So today we're kind of gearing up for spring break. I know some schools are getting into spring break and some schools are not getting into spring break. I have 1 week and then I have another week and then I'm going to spring break. Not actually going anywhere, but it's spring break time. But I think it's the doldrums of third quarter are over or heading over. And so we need to organize and gear up for this last quarter of the school year.
I wonder if spring break in places like, because we're in the Midwest and
there's still snow on the ground. And it's like just cabin fever. You can't get outside. Right.
It's super cold.
It's cold, but then we had a couple warm days, but then the kids are getting cagey because it's too muddy to be outside and it's just uncomfortable for everybody and everyone's just needs something.
In southern climates, does the spring fever get as bad as it does here? I doubt it. I want to doubt it. But kids are kids.
Well, and too, like for schools that go to school year round, where you just have breaks more often, do they still get cagey? I mean, they are climbing the walls.
Right, I know.
I don't know. Interesting. Before we talk about spring break stuff, I have to give a little shout out. So one of my former students, like actual former students, like I taught this gentleman because he's now an adult.
He calls you by your first name.
He calls me by my first name, which is
weird.
Strange. But it's very cool. Like, anyway, so his name is Isaiah, and he designed an RTI scheduler. So for those districts that have to run RTI scheduling, I know you're always trying to figure out where to put kids and to make sure that all of their needs are being met and teachers are scheduling and the kids get to pick and choose where they're going. It's kind of complicated and there's several programs out there. He actually designed a program and he has a little company. It's a company, Rebenify Technologies, and he created an RTI scheduler that they used at his high school. And now it's an actual, so this is one of my it's not a freebie. You have to pay for it, but I am giving a shout out just because it's one of my former students. And I'm like, holy cow, like this is pretty awesome. He's designed it and he's got a business based on it. But you can go to rebenifytechnologies.com. There's a bunch of information about it, but it's an affordable RTI scheduler, usable at any grade level for implementing RTI and, scheduling throughout the days. Software allows students to choose schedules, or it has teachers, so you can request certain periods for students. There's software on it that keeps analytics for students, so teachers can see where students are going most and like how they're making their choices. It simplifies the record keeping portion of RTI, and it also has G Suite compatibility. So cool. There's a lot of cool things set up with this program. So Rebenify Technologies, I think we'll put the link to it just on our website, so you guys can check it out if you want to. But a little shout out, like former students, like designing technology, and it's and very
like recent
cool.
Former student, like not.
Wow, you're aging me. Hello. I teach 8th grade, or not 8th grade. Yeah, I teach 8th grade. I teach middle school most of the time. Sometimes I touch base with high schoolers.
He's not like 30, is he?
No, he's in college, so he's a college student.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes, he's a college student who has created a company.
Yeah. And I'm saying it's impressive.
Technology stuff.
I'm not saying you're old. I'm saying it's impressive.
Yeah. So he's on it, and he's got a partner, and it's cool. So if anything else, you can check it out and be impressed that a college kid's put together a company.
Rebentify. It'll be in the tech mentioned in this episode section of the podcast episode website page thing.
Yeah.
At smartinwi.com.
Cool. All right. Yay. So anyway, little shout out there. But back to spring break. Okay, so it's not spring break. We need it to be spring break. So until it's spring break, we are going to Marie Kondo up our classrooms.
Yeah.
Shout out Netflix. Do I need to Netflix Marie Kondo?
No.
We're not physically going to fold shirts or anything, but we're going to organize a little bit. Organizing. It's going to refresh your life.
All right.
So our first actual website today is called drawio.com. I don't even know if it's got a .com. It's just draw.io.
Draw.io is the URL for the website. Yes, that is
correct. But I always want to .com it because
we use this.
.com, .org.
I use this for work.
Well, I use it in the classroom.
Also for work, but for your type of work. I use it for my type of work.
Fun.
I mean, I don't use it that often anymore. I went to Google Draw, but
yeah, no.
All right, let's talk about
There's more options with Draw.io than Google Draw, but anyway, we'll get into it.
No, there are.
There are so many more options when it comes to this. So Draw.io is an organizational tool for laying out a visual on basically any thought process you ever want to lay out. So you go to drawio.com and you click connect to Google Drive. It also connects to I'm trying to think what else it connects to.
Microsoft?
Yes. And so I connected it to my drive, and so everything I do obviously saves into my drive. And then you can choose if you want a template, or you can choose if you just want a blank sheet, which kind of looks like grid paper. And if you want a template, there's like 18,000 templates. If you want like columns, if you want like family trees, if you want
computer networks.
Yeah, circular like flow charts, if you want webbing for like mind mapping and brainstorming, there is so many options that you can pick from. So you can pick if you want, design your own or pick one of theirs. If you pick one of theirs, you can absolutely change the entire thing. You can change colors, fonts, pictures, everything in it. So you could start with one of their templates, got the entire thing, and then it will not look like their template, but you will have had their template to work from. Or you can start from scratch, and there's on the left-hand column, you'll see like shapes. Well, you've got general, miscellaneous, advanced, and then you've got basic, and then you've got flowchart, and then from those you can pick 18,000 other choices with like smiley faces and X's, and then you can go into other pictures of gateway
yes,
things.
There are tons and tons and tons of options.
So you have this enormous list of options to pick from, and then once you pick one of those options, you can drag it and just move it into your space. You can adjust the size of it, and once you click from there, then on the right hand side you've got 18,000 more tools to pick from. So you can change all the colors, you can put gradients into your colors, you can change text, you can rearrange, and then you can change the fonts and change the style. So you can imagine as a kid, this becomes like a work of art as you're designing your brainstorm about a story that you read.
Yeah.
Or it's any form of organizing. So I use it a lot with group collaboration when I'm trying to get several kids all combining their ideas at the same time and working in the same space. And you can do that like in a Google document. But if you need a visual or you want to map out the ideas, or they're like doing some sort of timeline or a flow chart, this is really great. And you can have more than one person working in the document at the same time. So you can have, it's not like, it's slightly off, I should say. It's not like exact real time, but it's very close, where if one student's working within the next 10 seconds, the following student will see it. But you are able to do so many things with this, and there's so many options. So my thought is, for like, if we're organizing, like, this is such a great organization tool in any subject area. You could apply this, and you could get yourself organized and spruce up things for the springtime. And it's got a whole lot of options for creativity, not super like fluffy graphic options,
right?
But brainstorming, lay it out, color coded. I love color coding things. I'm like color coding, theming queen. So like everything can be color coded and organized and blocked out and laid out. And you could have students organize the rest of the school year. You could have, as a teacher, just organize the rest of your school year. Like, there's just a lot of great ways to get yourself motivated and laid out for fourth quarter coming up.
Yeah, you could certainly use this for like vocabulary words, and you could use it for tying characters to one another in stories. You could use it for creating molecules in science class, things like that. I use it for
family
workflows.
Trees.
Yeah, family trees.
Genetics. There's a whole like diagram for genetics. There's
the thing that I found with it was exactly what you're saying. There were too many options. So that's why I was using just a more simple. Plus, we use Google at work, so it was easier for me personally. But I know we have people at work that use Draw.io to do like marketing automation workflows. So, like if you're getting, emails from companies, like you put something in a shopping cart and then didn't buy, and they send you an email, that they probably used one of these workflows to determine how they're going to send you an email to say, hey, you forgot to hit purchase on those shoes.
Your shoes missed you. You need to order them. I know too, as it works, it works great with students, but as teachers, I think I'll throw an example in there of like teacher brainstorming together, like one of my colleagues used it when he was working with some other teachers and educators. And so you could like adult brainstorms if you're doing teamwork or if you're collaborating with other people within your subject or even in different schools. I know one of our science teachers, she really wants to collaborate with another district, but like we're not close. So you could still work within like brainstorming together and not be in the same place, which is pretty cool. And I also have like a started student version that we'll throw up on the website too. We'll put on the website.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I will put that on the website. Just there's so many options. So if anything else, play around with it.
Yeah.
Because I know that we just mentioned a few things it can do, but you could, if you put a kid on this, it could be hours of educational entertainment.
Great
for them
if they're learning. Let them learn.
Woohoo! So, like, you're up for spring cleaning and organization.
Yeah. So are you having me segue into my favorite program that exists on the planet right now?
Yes.
The one that I use for everything in my life.
And I was introduced to it when it came to the podcast.
Yes, we're talking about Trello.
Does it have a theme song?
Trello. No.
Maybe you should send one into them.
No, I don't think so. But they've got a really good social media team, so when we tag them on Twitter, they may actually listen to this. So what's up, Trello peeps? Trello. I use you all the time and pay for your premium services.
But I use the free version.
Because that's how much I love you. No, Trello is a Kanban board, essentially.
Wow, we're getting fancy here.
Kanban is a Japanese term for basically a card system. They use it in manufacturing. So when it's for just-in-time manufacturing. So when you need certain amount of parts in a certain amount of place at a certain amount of time, a card goes and follows these parts.
And there's usually a robot, maybe a 6-axis robot,
probably
that moves that card along.
There could be, or a person, and sometimes the card is digital, and sometimes
my brother, he used to work in manufacturing,
and sometimes that card is a piece of paper. But Trello is basically like a board full of really advanced Post-it notes.
It's more advanced than like Padlet, whereas like we talked about Padlet before, where you like click and move things, and that's like a very basic version. Trello is like Padlet on steroids.
Right, and even the free version of Trello is like...
Because that's what I use.
Yeah, is like Padlet on steroids. And so what you do is you set up columns, and in those... and you can see it on our show page, but on the columns, you can call them whatever you want. So for the Tech Tools for Teachers podcast, we have pre-flight, which is all the cards for things we need to do for the show. So we've got our intro, our outro, how to process the audio. All those are different cards that live within that stack.
And you'll notice stickers on things because I like to sticker things so I can find them later on.
Yep. Then we have the next column is things we need to do. Then we have episodes. We have our analytics column. We have, or lists, they call them lists. We have our topics column, so things that we're going to talk about coming up in the future, things that are done, and then we've just got other, like a few
conference things, and then extra files and
odds and ends. But so what you do is you add cards to these columns, and inside the cards you can do all sorts of cool things. Just with the free stock side, there's you can label the cards with different labels. You can add multiple checklists to each one. So if you want a checklist on like different stages of things that you want to get done, you can just put in a checklist, and it brings up the little boxes, and as you check them done, it shows the percentage of how much you've gotten done. You can add attachments from Google Drive,
links,
Dropbox,
pictures.
pictures. Yeah, exactly. You can add
screenshots.
You can set due dates. You can
tag other people.
Yes.
So whenever I need
like today
Fuzz to do stuff, I
today
mark him. I'm like, hey, and then I tag him in a picture, or I tag him into that post, so then he knows, like, I need sometimes for Photoshop, so we don't have like students' names and stuff on work, and so I can tag him in it, and then he Photoshops out the picture information before we put it on the website, so I can tag him right in it, and then he gets a little email saying, your wife needs you to do something on the Trello board.
Yep.
And so it's really cool.
And then when you're done, you can I usually create a done list, so I can drag stuff over and just leave it there, but you can also archive it, and then it disappears. All of that stuff that we talked about is free on Trello. It gets to be not free when you start adding power-ups. So you can add, they're like add-ons. Power-ups are add-ons, and they've got a ton of them. There's, you can use one power-up on a free account. You can have.
It sounds like, I don't know, like some sort of Sonic the Hedgehog thing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Like Sonic the Hedgehog, but it makes you faster. What? But you can add like calendar things. You can have it automatically, like if you have a due date, you can have it automatically show up on your Google Calendar, or your Microsoft 365
But that's one
calendar.
of the paid things, right?
If you get one free one, so that could be a free one. One free one per board that you're using, and you can have multiple boards.
Speaking of multiple boards, I feel like we should point out that while we're doing like spring organization and spring cleaning, and that's the whole point of this podcast, is we're organizing. So our other board, which I think you're going to put on just the picture of it, is our home to-do list.
You'll see my beautifully striped lawn as the background.
And you'll see the new countertops that I want.
And that I need to caulk the brown bathroom.
So what's kind of fun, though, is having the boards, you can switch back and forth from one board to another. So if you're doing schoolwork stuff and then you want to focus on home stuff, and load pictures in, it's kind of nice. Just it houses everything, and once I put it there, I know I've stuck it someplace, but I'm not hunting through Pinterest, which I will do. Like, we love Pinterest. It's got a purpose. But what if I'm like, these are all the colors I want for my new kitchen? I don't want to be going through like 18,000 different things. It's just all right there in one list.
Yep.
So it's really nice. So we do have one for like home, like our home to-do list. We have a Trello board for it too.
So both of these are big, long-term, like constantly living lists, but you can use these for projects. So let's say you have a group project with a number of students. You could create a board for a project, or students could create a board for a project.
And how many people can you invite up onto a board?
On the free one, I don't know. I don't think I've ever hit the limit. So, but you can, so you can have this set up for one certain project. Then when it's done, you can just archive the whole board. But that way, like, people know, all right, here's my due date, here's your due date, here's what status it's in, and move it along the board until it gets to a column that you determine is done. And it could be a good way to hold people accountable.
I feel like for like goal setting for students and stuff, this might be a cool way for them to like do some goal setting, or even we talk about like personalized learning plans a lot, like with students. Like, that would be a really nice way to lay out the personalized learning plan without having to do a bunch of like typing of large documents and stuff. Like, their whole like personalized learning plan could be put right onto a Trello board, just very like simple, laid out, meeting their needs.
Yep, exactly. And then if buying the premium version gets you the ability to do big group boards, and you can also have unlimited power-ups and premium power-ups and all sorts of other stuff. Not that you need those, but you can do so much with the free version.
Yeah.
that it will change the way you live.
Or at least get you a little more organized.
And
bring you
change
joy.
the way you live. Trello.
And bring you joy.
Yes.
Thanks,
Next
Marie
up.
Kondo. All right. Next up and last up for today. So again, we're trying to like little boost for fourth quarter. Like, let's get organized. Let's like brainstorm some stuff. Let's lay some things out.
Coming into the home stretch.
And for these rainy, cold, muddy days that it's spring, not spring yet, we need Go Noodle. And I know a lot of educators use Go Noodle, or at least have heard of it. But something that Go Noodle is, it's specified for like K-5 students, but don't rule it out middle school / high school teachers, because Go Noodle, to get your kids up and moving and a little more mindful in class, everyone can benefit from it. Certain programs are very K-5, but other programs, they have a whole section. When you go under category, so you log into Go Noodle, you sign up. Does not have Google sign up. You have to sign yourself up as an educator. You click educator, you get all the free stuff. There is paid, to upgrade your Go Noodle. But under categories, you're able to pick from like curricular, like subject area stuff. That's probably a little bit lower grade. But mindfulness, sensory motor skills, school life, movement type, like all these categories are to get kids up and moving in your classroom because they've been sitting too long, they're wiggly, they need a brain break. And some of these, though, I've used them with the middle school students. If you go under movement and you go under workout, like it's a workout. You've got 3 minutes of actual like workout skills and stretching, and breathing and things like that any grade level could use. And I have found like the movement ones specifically are not too like little kiddish when we're talking to middle school and high school students. Like, you can get up, you can stretch with a guy, and you can pretend to be the guy in the front of the room if you want to. It's not cartoony, they're actual people. So
sure.
I think that if your kids are climbing the walls and they need to stretch out, push the desk out of the way or push the bean bags out of the way, pull up Go Noodle. Don't think that you can't do it because you've got older kids, because you know what, sometimes they want to bounce around to Baby Shark too. And actually I had 8th graders telling me the other day, like, Mrs. Martin, they're like, we're always going to be silly and singing like this. And I'm like, you know what, good, enjoy it, your kids, you should. So Go Noodle if your kids are climbing the walls. Also, side note, Go Noodle, you can sign up as a parent too. So that's always an option if your kids are at home climbing the walls and they're home for spring break and you're home for spring break with your kids climbing the walls. Pull up Go Noodle on your smart TV and dance around there too. So
they can't get outside because you sink into the lawn when you walk outside.
It's squishy and muddy and a lot of flooding around here. So Go Noodle it. You're never too old to Go Noodle, and I think that activities and moving them around would be a really good idea. So
you're never too old to Go Noodle.
You're never too old to Go Noodle.
That
That should be like a good little. You're never too old to Go Noodle.
You've heard the term noodling, right? Or where you're fishing for catfish with your arm.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, it's called noodling. So when you say Go Noodle, I kind of get that.
Gross and creepy. No, thank you.
I'm not going to go noodle that, but I may go jump around the living room. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for tuning in. This has been the Tech Tools for Teachers podcast, gearing up for spring edition. If you have ever, episode 13, by the way.
Yeah.
If you have ever have any questions, you can find me at Twitter at SmartNWI. And if you want to get more information on the links to the technology discussed on today's episode, you can visit smartnwi.com. New episodes each week. Thanks for listening. Go educate and innovate.
The ideas and opinions expressed on this podcast and the Smart NWI website are those of the author, Shanna Martin, and not of her employer. Prior to using any of the technologies discussed on this podcast or going out and noodling, please consult with your employer regulations. This podcast offers no guarantee that these tools will work for you as described, but we hope they do. Have a great spring break. We'll see you soon.